Let's talk about data validation. So by default, our forms include basic data validation logic. For example, because we have defined all these fields as required, meaning none of them are nullable, if we try to save this form without supplying any values, we get all these validation errors. Beautiful. We didn't have to write a single line of code to get this functionality, right? Now let's go through a few validation scenarios and see how we can customize the logic here. First, I'm going to make the description field nullable. So back to the product class, let's make the description field nullable. Okay. Now we need to create a migration and apply it to our database. So Python manage.py, make migrations. Good. And then migrate. Beautiful. So let's go back to the browser and refresh this page one more time. So look, we still get this error saying this field is required, even though we made the description field nullable. Why is this happening? Well, back to our description field, this keyword argument only applies to our database. So to make this field optional in the admin interface, we should set another argument called blank to true. Now, let's refresh. Okay, this time we don't get a validation error for the description field. Great. Now, what about unit price? Well, here we cannot type any characters like ABC because the type of this field is decimal and this input field only accepts numbers. So that's a great starting point. But what if we set the price to 0 or -1? The validation error goes away. Look, we don't get a validation error, but this is not a valid value for the unit price. So back to our models module, on the top, from Django.core.validators, we're going to import min value validator. In this module, we have a bunch of built-in validators. If you want to see all these built-in validators, just Google Django validators. On this page, you can see all these built-in validators. So we have regex validator for validating using regular expressions. We have email validator that is automatically applied to our email fields. We also have URL validator that is applied to URL fields and so on. Now down below, you can also see we have max value validator, min value, max length, min length, and so on. So here we imported min value validator. Now back to where we were. Here's the unit price field. Let's break this down into multiple lines so our code is cleaner. Now we set validators to a list of validator objects. So here we're going to create a min value validator object. And in the constructor, we're going to specify the minimum value. Let's say 1. Now, optionally, we can also specify a message if you want to. I'm going to stick to the default message. So back to the browser. Let's refresh. All right, now we get this default message saying, ensure this value is greater than or equal to 1. Great. Now, similarly, we could apply the same validation logic to the inventory field, but I'm going to leave it to you as an exercise. The only thing I'm going to do here is making promotions optional, because when adding a product, I don't necessarily want to apply a promotion to it. So back to the product class, here's the promotions field. So we should set blank to true. Now refresh. The promotions field is no longer required. Great.